things really do be happening right now.
Things really do be. Through the sewer, like through the manhole.
Yeah.
While they are coming up, so like there's at some point there's a flip in gravity. I was confused because when I asked where the wedding was, I meant like what was it held in, and you said.
So yeah, I don't think you heard about this. Well, I kind of told you a little bit about it, but last week Dan and I recorded like a whole ass episode, and it turns out,
because I remember I looked in the Discord at like 9 p.m. and I was like, these guys started recording at 5. What are they still doing in there? Yeah. And so I was like, you guys okay? And then you're like, oh, we're re-recording because Garble Town. And I was like,
yeah. Oh, it was really, really bad. And now I'm learning that every time I set up my mics to record a certain way, it seems to just do that now. So I need to be very conscious of that in future so that doesn't happen again.
Did you guys talk about, by chance, the fact that we were on Spotify last week?
Only briefly. It was something I totally forgot to bring up until like the very end, but yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure people knew if they
I'm so happy about that. Spotify is like where I live for podcasts. They sent me a message saying, you're one of our top podcast listeners, and I'm like, I don't think that's true, but thanks. And then they recommended to me a bunch of like pop culture podcasts, and I'm like, what? What makes you like, nothing against them, right? But what makes them think I want to hear about Kobe now?
Well, you got to say, as one of your top podcast listeners, you think I don't know about this?
Exactly. It's just like, come on, y'all. Come on. But anyway, yeah, so welcome back. It's October edition of Off the Air. I wish I had a pumpkin beer today. I actually haven't thought about that until just now, how nice it would be.
Instead, all you have is this giant baby Yoda bong. You thought it was over.
Someday that joke will stop being funny, but that day is not today.
You don't have to pity me. It's okay. I understand exactly where I am.
I think it is funny, though, is the problem.
I have some cold brew.
Ooh, nice. Like cold brew coffee?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not like a cold brew to crack open with the lads. Just like some cold brew.
Hey,
it's kind of old.
Cold brew's good. Oh, it's old.
Yeah.
Like not always ideal. But geez, that is old.
I mean, it lasts for a while, but like... So I do all the cold brew at work, like whenever it's time. Is my mic really loud? It seems like it's really loud.
It doesn't seem really loud on my end, but
okay.
If it is on your end, then I don't know.
It just seemed like it started peaking or something. Oh, I don't actually know what peaking is. I just kind of...
Now that sounds louder. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's the wrong way. I turned the gain the wrong way. There's no way that's better. Is that better?
This right
There's
here?
No way that's better. Yeah.
Yeah.
Really? Maybe my little gain slider is flip-flopped.
I don't know. You're using a Yeti, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Nina's seems to be like that too.
Interesting. What if I feel like I need to turn it down more. I feel like my audio is now I'm way louder, right?
Yeah.
What about now?
That
I'm way quieter now.
Yep.
Okay, am I good now? This seems like an optimal range.
Yeah, that seems fine to me.
Seems like a good operating range. So the start of the episode might be kind of loud for me, but it didn't start loud. It just kind of peaked in the middle of recording. I don't know. Anyway, like I was saying moments ago before that audio thing happened that Noah hopefully cut out, I am the cold brew lord at my job. I am the Baron of cold brew. And I do that. I make it every week. I make like a big old batch. Whenever there's like a little bit left and I'm making a new batch, I don't want to have 2 types, so I just take the rest of it. So I had probably like 12 ounces of cold brew here, and it was from the Sumatran roast that I did like 2 weeks ago.
Ooh.
So I made it for the first time like 2 weeks ago, and then it's good. It's good for like 2 weeks, but we change it out every week at work because it mostly gets sold anyway. So if there's any left, I just take it. Most of the time, there's not though. So then whenever you did it, there was a little bit left, so I put it in my fridge, and I forgot about it until now. So it's been like probably 12 days since I made this initially. It's not bad, but there's some grime in the bottom of it.
Yeah, that is the problem with cold brew. The longer it sits, the more it really filters itself out, which on one hand is kind of cool, but on the other hand is kind of grody.
Mucky. So Noah.
Yes.
How have you been?
Well, glad you asked. Yesterday, as of recording, I don't know, almost a week ago, by the time the episode comes out, I conducted a wedding, so that was neat.
Yeah, I know when you conduct an orchestra, then I'll be impressed.
Shoot, you right.
Any geek off the street can conduct a wedding. Takes a real man to conduct an orchestra.
You're right, though, is the thing. I called this place, and I'm like, hey, so before the wedding, I just want to make sure I got my paperwork in order. Do you need any, like, documents from me? And they're like, nope, we don't require any proof. I'm like, oh, okay, that's neat. And I walked in and I blundered my way through a ceremony. It was actually really neat. As soon as I started talking, the sun came out. It had been a really overcast day all day. Then I started talking, and then suddenly, boom, there's the sun. So,
were these two people that you knew well?
Reasonably well, yeah. I met her at Tony and Guy when I went to learn hair, and then I met him through her. He was my DM for a while for a D&D game or two.
And now they're married by your hand.
By my hand. It was,
and of course, the divine hand of God.
Exactly.
Pretty sure that's like a big part of the ceremony.
See, funny thing, they wanted, she's atheist and he's a pagan. So they wanted a very non-religious wedding because they knew that, like, if they leaned into his religion at all, it would offend a lot of his extended family and a lot of her extended family. So they're like, you know what? We would just like this to be totally neutral, nothing special, just nice, simple wedding. And I'm like, yeah, okay, I can do that. So I went and did that. And then after the wedding, her sister came up to me and she's just like, hey, so grandma's asking if anyone's going to say grace before the meal. And I'm like, I don't think so. People kept coming up to me and calling me minister, which was a surreal experience.
Pastor Noah.
It was so
Master
weird.
Poa.
And yeah, and I'm like, I don't think so. They told me they wanted a pretty religiously neutral wedding. Oh, I was just wondering because grandma was asking about it. Yeah, no, I don't think I'm supposed to. If they want me to, I will, but I don't think I was going to do that. It was a good time though. It was a really fun time.
Yeah, that sounds like a good time.
Had my first Coors, which was better than I thought it would be, honestly.
Rocky Mountain water. Coors Light.
Yeah, it's one of those things, right? Where like cheap beer's cheap beer and it all kind of tastes the same, but some of them taste a lot waterier. Some of them taste just like too sweet. This one was just in a nice like middle ground nutty phase. That was nice.
It's fun. It's a good time. Mm-hmm. So it was like a religiously neutral wedding. Where was it at?
Do you know where Port Allegheny is?
No.
Neither did I.
Okay, so but if I put those two things together, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is it in I'm guessing the Pittsburgh area?
Let me call it up on a map just to make sure I'm.
Because I mean the Allegheny River, obviously.
Nowhere near Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh's like a big port city. Weird. Is it on the Allegheny River?
No. All right. So here's okay. So it's in the Allegheny Forest.
Okay. Where's the port come from though? Because ports are pretty much always water.
Well, that's a great question. It is a landlocked city.
Okay.
In between, it's near Bradford and Smethport.
Who doesn't love Smethport?
St. Mary's. There we go. St. Mary's. That's the biggest city nearby.
How far away is it from here?
It was about 2 hours.
It's not terrible.
Mm-hmm.
So, did you have a good time?
Yeah, I liked it a lot, if we're being honest. I thought it was also a good time.
I was confused because when I asked where the wedding was, I meant like, what was it held in? And you said Port Allegheny, so I thought that was like a building.
Oh.
Yeah, I didn't mean like where. I meant like where is it? Like the building.
No, it was in a backyard.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Outdoor wedding.
Yeah. Won't lie. Little cold, but still a good time.
Yeah, I mean, it's been cold this last week, so I can understand that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it really has been pretty chilly.
I mean, obviously you were getting married.
I boy howdy, I am.
Believe it or not, you won't be when this episode comes out yet, right?
No, this episode is coming out 3 days before my wedding. No, 2 days before my wedding.
Wow.
Yep, 2 days before my wedding.
Are you guys getting married in a backyard in Allegheny Port?
Nope. We are getting married inside of a church where the weather will be nice and toasty because it's in a church and not going to be too cold.
That's true. Churches usually, sometimes churches can be pretty cold.
They really can.
Some of the coldest buildings.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not like me being metaphorical or anything. They're just like, they're big, so they're hard to heat.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things, right? Where they're like, yeah, we want our main sanctuary to have a big, tall ceiling, which is nice because it's good for like acoustics and things like that. Makes sense.
And it looks cool.
Yeah, it looks real cool. And then it just gets, huge. And your heating bill for that one room that they also, they had to have big windows. And it's just like, wow, that's a $500 heating bill to just get this room up to temp.
It's a big bill for just one room.
Mm-hmm. But hey, is what it is. Whatever.
Yeah. And let's see. What else was I going to ask about wedding affairs of variety? You're doing that shortly. We did have a pseudo bachelor party.
We did. That was a freaking blast of a time. My personal favorite.
We were gonna go in the woods, but it got rained out. So yeah,
we were gonna do a nice woods thing. My personal favorite part of it was the fact that Jeff opens up the night announcing that he was my best man. And I'm like, I didn't even talk to him about that yet, but okay. And he pops some champagne and we talk for a second and it's a good time. And then 3 hours later, Eli pops open a bottle and he's just like, as your best man. And he does a little speech. And I don't know why in my mind you weren't going to do it too. Because it wasn't until I said, all right, guys, I think it's time for me to go. And Eli just like deer in the headlights, oh no moment. And then you reach into the fridge, you're like, as your best man.
It was a good bit. It was a fun bit.
Oh, it was a real good bit. Oh man, it was great. I liked it a lot.
All the champagne.
Mm-hmm. Can't beat it.
That last one was really bad though.
Oh my gosh, it was so awful. What was it even called? I just remember it being Windex Blue.
It was Windex Blue for sure.
And in case anyone is thinking, I would like some beer, you don't want Windex Blue beer. I can promise you.
It was champagne, to be fair.
Well, okay. I don't know why I said beer in hindsight. You don't want Windex Blue champagne either. But yeah, no, it was a whole experience. Don't want to have it again, but I'm glad that I did it once, I guess. The champagne, that is, not the party. The party was great.
Well, I mean, I hope you don't want to have another bachelor party.
I would hope not, but some people just be throwing parties. It is how it is. No, I'm gonna have a housewarming party when I move, and that's gonna be the last party I have for a long time. Personal opinion.
Wow, for a long time. How long is a long time for you in party terms?
I don't do parties, so
gross. What about club? You hit up the club, Noah? You a big clubbing kind of guy?
I don't. So have you ever been to Sluggers in Erie?
No, but it sounds scary.
So yeah, it's not around anymore. It is officially dead, but that's the only place I ever went to. And it was like a baseball themed bar. It was way more of a dive bar than I think they would ever admit that they are.
That doesn't sound like the club, Noah.
No.
I just want you to know
had an area
that was... A baseball themed bar is not the club.
It was a
I went to the club. They had a whole
club.
bunch of like Mickey Mantle posters on the wall.
They were trying to be the club, but they distinctly were not. It was very, very much not a good time.
Thank you, Mr. Loud Motorcycle that just drove by my house.
Hello, Mr. Loud Motorcycle. What a nice man.
Hello, Mr. Loud Motorcycle. So Noah, there is the one place that I went to when you had a show there at one point in time. That was like the Martini Bar. That place was cool.
It was cool. The owner ended up getting really aggressive against local bands, and all the local bands burned him. So I don't even know if they're still open, if we're being honest. I wish they were. It's a cool enough place.
That was a really cool place.
Mm-hmm.
Aggressive in what sense? Like
he was going to, I mean, you saw the place, it had a nice enough crowd, but it's not great. And he was going to start charging bands to play there.
Charging bands to play there?
Yeah. One of those like, if you want to book a show, you got to pay me $100 and then you got to make sure you make that money back.
Interesting.
Meanwhile, every single band that played there for the most part was playing essentially for free and hoping that the door charge for the band night
I remember there was a door charge. Which was like the first time I've ever been hit with the door charge in Erie. I was like, what?
Dude, right? Yeah, no, and it's not a nice enough place to be hitting anyone with a door charge, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I went to go see your band and they're like $5. I was like, $5 just to get into this? Like, come on, dude. But yeah, well, what can you do? I mean, I've been to places with way more expensive door charges, but never in Erie,
Exactly. Erie isn't really a door charge kind of place, but 'tis what it is.
I've never been to anyone with a drink minimum. Have you ever been to somewhere with a drink minimum?
A drink minimum? How do you mean?
Yeah.
Like you go there and you have to at least have 2 drinks?
Yeah, like a 2-drink minimum kind of deal. Like
what? No.
Yeah, I know it's a thing. I just have never been somewhere where that's a thing. I think it's more for areas where you'd be sitting down for a long period of time.
Yeah,
like,
I've never seen
like comedy clubs.
That.
Yeah. Because I know you'll be taking up a table, so you need to at least be buying things. And it's kind of like in lieu of a door charge, there's a drink charge or a drink minimum.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've never been somewhere. I've only ever heard of them and like heard them referenced in TV shows, pretty much. That's
I was gonna say I've only heard of like drink minimums in like there was the Christmas episode of The Office where Michael was trying to instill like a 4-drink minimum to just get everything going, and I'm like, oh yeah, I get it, because no one ever says blank drinks minimum, only a maximum number of drinks, because who would do a minimum number of drinks? That is silly.
No, it's
but I guess it's a thing. Yeah.
Yeah, but obviously he was using it in the wrong sense because it's to get people to be spending money.
Mm-hmm. And he was just trying to get people wasted.
He was trying to get people wasted. Yeah, what is it where he buys like a shitload of like really bad vodka or something like that?
I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure he bought like, oh geez, it was an easy like 13 handles of Stoli, something like that.
Yeah.
Not a good time,
yeah,
in my opinion.
I remember he has like a cart full of liquor, and he's like, "Is this enough to get like 7 people drunk?"
And the guy just like looks at it and is like, "Yes, should do it."
Oh man, that's crazy.
Although
I wonder, in hindsight, I'd like to watch that scene again because I know, like, I wonder if it is in a state liquor store, or if they didn't. It is like they took that note.
Yeah,
that means they filmed that scene in Pennsylvania then, or they recreated like a set to look like a state liquor store. But I think it's cheaper just to fly out Steve Carell and a couple cameras than it is to remake a set.
Where did they shoot The Office? I thought that they did shoot it in PA, didn't
Only
they?
some things. Like the theme song was shot in PA, and some scenes they shoot in like the Scranton area.
Huh. Interesting.
But very rarely. Most of the time it was shot in California on an NBC lot.
I mean, that makes sense. I mean, I know all the outside shots were like not actually the building that they claimed it was.
Yeah.
But that's about all I knew. It makes sense, though. I mean, like something like that.
Yeah, when you're shooting for NBC, you might as well.
You might as well already use what they have for you rather than try and make yourself an office park.
In Scranton, of all places. Because then you've also got to convince like 20 actors to functionally live in the city of Scranton.
Exactly. Like, hey, you want to live in Scranton for what? Probably 3 months, right? I'm assuming like a season probably gets filmed in like 3 months tops.
It all depends. I mean, because a lot of The Office, there was like seasonal episodes too. I know there's pretty much a Christmas and a Halloween episode, and at least in every season. Sometimes there's other specials. So they may have even stretched it out further, but I don't know. I don't know what the filming routine was like on The Office.
Because I know that they managed to maintain like some current humor in it, which means that they can't film that much ahead.
Speaking of filming routines, Dan is not here because he's on set today.
He is on set.
Go. Now
I'm really curious as to what he's filming today because
probably pictures of me.
Pictures of you?
Yeah,
probably. Yeah.
Not pictures of you. That's a song.
By The Cure.
What if he's doing the music video for it? 15 years too late, but go Dan.
It would be a little bit too late, but hey, you know what? You got to live.
You know what? You do have to live. It's required. Noah, I've got some big and exciting news. About off the air taking place. Did I tell you this at the bachelor party?
I don't know if you did because this isn't.
I also feel weird
bells.
calling it a bachelor party. I mean, it was technically a bachelor party, but I don't like saying that because it makes people think like we had like strippers and
that's exactly
cocaine,
what I was thinking. I was just like, oh yeah,
hung
Nina,
out in your brother's apartment.
Because when we got snowed out or rained out, like Nina was going to be at my apartment that evening to do like work and stuff. Obviously, the power went out and she was stuck like that.
Follow her on Twitter to see what exactly happened. It's a debacle. I can tell you that for sure.
Big debacle.
Big old.
Her computer is fixed though. We left it unplugged for 3 days, plugged it back in. The power supply fully drained and fixed itself. So.
Did you put any rice in it?
All the rice. You kidding me?
I figured you would have put some rice in it.
Yeah, just tons of rice. We were like, what's the worst that can happen, right?
Exactly. But yeah, so as you were saying about.
Oh, but yeah, I was telling her that this place might have been like our fallback option because we needed somewhere. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, you know what it is. You know, we're just gonna come in, have our strippers and coke and gamble all night. And she's like, all right, cool, sounds like a blast. And I'm like, well, no, of course you cannot be there. And she's like, wow, so I have to book my own strippers.
I mean, yeah, that's the rule, right?
It do be the rule.
But also, like, yeah, we really just we played 1-2 switch because I brought the wrong AC adapter, so we couldn't play Super Smash Brothers. So we had to just play 1-2 switch and quick draw on each other. And then
I gotta say, I'm impressed at your quick draw.
I was surprisingly good at actually a lot of those games. For some reason, as a true gamer, I have developed the perfect skill set to be a Wild West cowboy. But yeah, it was fun. We had a good time. Very tame. Compared to what like the societal expectation of a bachelor party is.
And I liked that, if we're being honest. It was kind of...
Oh yeah, no, I'm terrified. I think I would cry if I saw a stripper in real life.
Yeah, no, like the traditional stereotypical party, not something I want. I don't think that would be enjoyable for me.
Yeah.
But, you know.
And I wouldn't cry if I saw a stripper in real life because I like have negative feelings towards sex workers. I'm just scared of naked women, you know?
I think that's also
obviously
valid.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see. What else is I was gonna say I was doing something. So all things withstanding, if it's possible, I am going to be going to Japan next year.
Oh yeah. That's exciting. That's big. That's big exciting.
Yeah, so my sister and I are going to go to Japan.
Nice. Just you two?
For fun. Just us two.
Nice. That's the way to do it.
Yeah, because she like messaged me and she's like, we should try and go to like New Orleans. And I was like, that sounds like fun. And she's like, maybe in like a couple years though, because it's, I don't know. She's like, I don't really want to go to New Orleans. She's like, I got to spend the money, or I got to save the money up and make sure we can like go, blah, 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 blah. And I'm already going to Disney next year. And I was like, what if I just bought us plane tickets in a hotel? Where would you want to go? And so we just kind of like whittled down the world over.
I respect it. It.
Because I was going to take a trip by myself for my birthday in February.
Yeah.
I don't know I think I talked about that on the podcast, going to Tanzania. I was like, that would be a lot of fun. So I had like a whole bunch of money set aside for that. And then I was like, well, I don't think it'll be early enough. I don't think travel restrictions will be lifted by then.
Right.
And also, I don't know, it'd be more fun to go with somebody. And she was already asking to do something. So I was like, might as well.
Yeah. Why not?
Go to Japan. I've always wanted to go to Japan, you know. Seems like a good time. We're going to go to Kyoto and hang out. Obviously, again, if we're able to, given the restrictions and whatnot at that point in time.
Exactly. Like things might have to get canceled as needed, but
exactly. And that's the nice thing though. Most sites are very like understanding about that. Like I already booked the hotel. I guess it's technically a ryokan, not because it's like a traditional like Japanese hotel, not like a modern one. It's really cool looking. But it was like, hey, you can basically cancel for literally no charge up to 7 days before.
Nice.
Just because of the way things are right now. They want you to still be able to plan things, but they don't want you to be like, oh,
right,
now I'm screwed out of money. So that's pretty cool.
Plane
tickets I haven't bought
it's
because
nice having places that are understanding of the fact that things really do be happening right now.
Things really do be, and I wanted to do the same with plane tickets, but plane tickets are like the airline companies are a lot less understanding.
They really
than
are.
The hotels, because they're like, yeah, we can help you cancel your flight. There will be a charge, and you can't get any of the money back, but you can get it in the forms of gift cards for our airline. Like, so you're telling me if I bought like let's say like I don't know like $2,000 in airplane tickets, and I had to cancel them, I would get like $1,500 back, and I couldn't even get it back. I'd have to buy more airplane tickets.
Exactly.
And you have to use them by like a certain date, or else they're no good.
Yeah, at that point, it honestly does just make more sense for you to do it like just a little bit before.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna wait until like 2 months before. I think 6 weeks out is the best time to buy usually, but I'll have to, because if you buy this far out, it's actually not that good because there's so few flights that nothing's like set in stone. But when it's like 6 weeks out, they've got most of the flight plans down, from what I've heard anyway. Yeah, that's the excitement going on in my life.
Nice. Sounds like a pretty good
time. It's like 9
time.
months away, but you know.
Yeah, but hey, it's cool to have plans though. It's nice having plans like that.
It's cool to have plans.
My current only plan is that at the end of this month, I'm moving up into Erie, which is very exciting.
You're also getting married in a week.
Yes.
Worth noting.
See, that one doesn't even ping my like things I'm looking forward to this month plan thing anymore, because I'm like, okay, everything's almost done. This is happening. Everything's like laid out and finished. I can focus on the next big thing.
I mean, that makes sense. Like you're pretty much already planning as like from a planning perspective, you're like, I'm already married. Like everything you're like all the decisions you're making from the perspective of someone who is married, because it's, you know,
because those are the steps that come next.
Exactly. Yeah. You're like, well, I've got to, you know, be a couple steps ahead. This is 4D chess.
Big 4D chess moves. Do what I can.
Huge brain.
But you know what? You know what else is happening this month though that I'm looking forward to?
What?
Halloween.
Don't say it. Oh, he did it.
I did say it. And while I know I'm going to be moving on Halloween, most likely, I do, however, have other fun things that I have planned. Like later tonight, Nina and I are hopefully going to watch The Conjuring. But that's not what I'm here to talk about. Today I'm here to talk about Saw 3.
Okay.
So we're gonna do a twofer today, because I really want to get the scary movie corner in. But since I'm not going to be around next week, we'll just do 2 this week. We're going to open with Saw 3, possibly my personal favorite Saw movie.
And the third one also.
It is the third one. The first movie is great. You know, it stands by itself as like a big like minimal budget movie with a really good twist that everything just works. You know, there's a few scenes that just aren't that great, but all in all, it's a pretty good time. Saw 2, 3, and 4 all occur, I believe, if memory serves, they all occur at the same time. Either that or Saw 2 happens and then 3 and 4 happen at the same time. I can't quite remember. But I remember there's a lot of overlap for a couple of the movies. Anyway, though, Saw 3 has one of my favorite protagonists that's so awful he's an antagonist almost. And that dude is Jeff. He wakes up and he's dealing with the loss of his son. And his son died like a long time ago from a drunk driving accident.
Okay.
And he became an absolute mess and started like ignoring his own daughter and his wife, and his whole marriage fell apart, you know? And this dude goes room by room of people who were even vaguely connected to his son. There's like, the first person is the only witness to the accident who didn't testify in court. Let's see. And he had to save her, but he doesn't for some reason. Then there's the judge who gave the killer 6 months in jail. And let's see. Does he help him? Yeah, he manages to save him. And then there's the actual killer himself. And, you know, it was a drunk driving accident. This man feels awful. He is not happy that it happened. But Jeff doesn't save him either, even though he last minute decides to try and save him. He just ends up not saving him and killing the only other man that he managed to save because he just can't move fast. He's been told when he wakes up, he's got a time limit counting down what he needs to do. He needs to move quickly. He needs to move with urgency. And he walks so slow everywhere. He's just like looking around like, huh, the whole time. And
freaking Jeff.
I watched this with my brother, Jeff, and he's like, you know what would make
Jeff.
this movie great is if you played yakety sax while he's trying to solve the puzzles. And I'm not going to lie to you. It made the movie so much better. It's just a really good time. So yeah, that's Saw 3. Worth watching, in my opinion. It's one of the Saw franchise is it's a big weak point for me. I really enjoy all the Saw movies, even the really, really bad ones like Saw 3D. Ooh, boy, that's bad. It's really, really, really bad.
Is that the one with Linkin Park racism?
It is. Yep. Racist Linkin Park is in that one. Saw 6 is really special because that's the one that just, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't need to exist. But it do.
I think at some point Saw became like an anime.
It really, yeah, no, honestly, that sounds
like,
about right.
It went from being like, wow, a raw story about what humans will do to survive, and also the way that some people have been pulling the strings and you might not even notice it. You're like, wow, that's pretty crazy. That's brutal. And then it's just like, they cut my leg off, but now I'm a pirate and I'm a bad guy. You're like, oh.
There it is. Okay. See, that's the whole thing. And man, I'm just so happy.
You thought I was dead? I was never dead. In fact, I've been planning your death this whole time.
Oh, I love it so much. So. It's such a mess. It's a soap opera of a franchise. That's why I like it. I don't know. All the Saw movies have done like reasonably well on their releases too. Like the budgets have all been like pretty small and they've made over 120 million a piece for the most part.
Except for done Jigsaw with them now, right?
Jigsaw's budget was actually really, really small. It was only 10 mil. It's not the cheapest Saw movie, but no, they're not done. There's another one coming out, Spiral. It was supposed to come out this year, but it got delayed. I think. Actually, let me check that.
Every time I hear movie budgets, it just makes me sad. It only costs $10 million to make a movie about a guy killing people.
Right.
You know how much $10 million can do? You know how many people that can help? And instead you used it as a tool to make money. Come on. Whatever.
Let's see. Oh, it's so hard. There we go. Spiral is coming out in 2021 now. Oh, we got Samuel L. Jackson and Chris Rock.
Oh, God. That movie's going to suck.
Oh, it's going to be so bad. I'm so excited to watch it. Oh, man. It's going to be so bad. Oh, I'm so excited. But yeah, that's something I'm looking forward to. Also, Candyman was supposed to come out this year. I really hope it didn't get delayed.
Well, Bobby Shmurda was supposed to come out this year and he got delayed. So
it got delayed till next year too. Why'd Bobby Shmurda get delayed?
I don't know. Too cool. Too much swag.
Yeah, that makes sense, honestly.
It makes sense. Yeah, it really does.
Mm-hmm.
The world wasn't ready to be saved yet.
Nah. Sure would be nice, though.
Oh, gee, sure is boring around here.
Only we had Bobby to help us.
Man, wouldn't that be a great Legend of Zelda game? Wand of Gamelon 2, this time with Bobby Shmurda. So, Noah, you had another thing to talk about before I just start continually making nonsensical statements about Bobby Shmurda.
I did. The second movie I wanted to talk about was As Above, So Below.
That one I like.
I remember you talked about it in the past.
I think it's good.
You're the reason that I decided to finally watch it. And I'm amazed to find out that there's a lot of people that don't like it.
There's a lot of people that don't like it.
I don't understand that. It's such, in my opinion, it is a really, really good movie. But
it's very much maligned.
Not a lot of people that really, really enjoyed it.
As Above, So Below meaning. Let's see. As Above, So Below, 2014. Wow, it's been that long. Once this page loads, I will tell you. 6.2 out of 10 on IMDb. That's not terrible. But the on Metacritic, 38.
No way.
Yeah.
That's awful. That's really bad.
Yeah, it's not good at all. Let's look on Rotten
Tomatoes is 26%.
Yeah, that's crazy.
See, it's not this bad of a movie is the problem.
I don't think it's a 26% kind of movie at all.
No. I think giving it a 6.2, the IMDb like total score, I think that's fine, right? Like
that's fine, especially because like the top rated movies on like Shawshank Redemption on IMDb has like a 9.1. So like a 6.2 is not that bad for them.
No. Especially for horror. Horror gets absolutely blasted when it comes to like reviews because you get people who like they watch it but they don't actually like horror. So they'll be like, "Oh, this movie was so bad." And it's like that's fine, you know, like that's like your opinion, man. But
biggest brain reviews are people who review a scary movie negatively because it scares them.
That's one of the stupidest things.
That's Mondo brain. This movie's really scary. I can't give it a positive review because I'm scared. Well, yeah, I guess not.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I mean, it's I want to find a movie that like really scares me someday. But you know what? I also don't want to watch that right now.
There was some good scary bits in As Above, So Below, but it wasn't that scary overall. I think it kind of gets like it kind of suffers from the small cast as well as it is benefited by the small cast.
Yeah,
you know, it's kind of like The Descent.
Not 100% pulling their weight, it really does show in a really unfortunately strong way.
Mm-hmm. And also, like when you only have like 7 characters, you can only kill 7 characters.
This is true. And what do? They kill 6 of them, don't they?
No. There's like that's when a movie, spoiler alert for a movie in 2014 that everyone apparently hates that came out. A lot of people get out, like more than you would think. Mm-hmm. Obviously, you got your final girl, so she gets out because final girl. Mm-hmm. But then you've got her like boyfriend figure, and you're like, okay, the love interest. That's always like a 50-50 in a lot of horror movies. Like, does the couple get out? Usually, the final girl gets out, but does the man's? So in this horror movie couple, they both get out. Like, okay, and then there's the other guy that gets out.
Yeah,
who is my favorite character? I can't remember his name. It's like Zed or something. But like, the man was just like vibing the whole movie, just like, oh shit, this is crazy. And then he gets out. He's just like, but he also like he doesn't just like get out like passively. He goes kind of beast mode at the end. Like he like defends the guy, and it's a fun movie.
Mm-hmm.
I like that there's so much about. Like as I've said a time or two on this podcast, I'm a sucker for Dante's Inferno.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and that there's so much like Inferno related content in the movie that it's just like I'm a fan. Mm-hmm. And just like the descent through the levels of hell, and is like literally being portrayed as a descent through levels of hell, and the flip as you enter the underworld, the carvings on the door, like everything about it is just like fresh.
Honestly, it's just a really good time. There's so much good stuff happening in it. All the imagery is great, and the music is diegetic, and that's just enjoyable, you know?
Yeah,
you get a lot of fun cave noises. There's chanting in one of the caves that like echoes around for a minute.
The chanting. That is like, the fact that they continue going forward after they see the people chanting in the circle is insane to me.
Right?
But they're also just like, yeah, there's crazy people down here.
After those people turn and look at them and it's clear that they got noticed, and they're like, oh, let's just go deeper.
Yeah, let's just back ourselves into a corner here.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, it's a lot. But also just like the narrative of like, in order for them to get out, they've got to like Saw style face their demons.
Yeah.
I think that's a fun little bit.
That the scene where there's like something in the water like trying to smash up through, and then it turns out it's just regular ground.
Yeah, there's a lot of trippy visuals in the movie
fact
too.
that they did that CG work with like nothing, you know, like I always am going to enjoy when a movie manages good CG when it's a found footage movie.
Yeah.
Cause like
honestly, I've watched it like 40 times, the ending scene where they come out through the sewer grate, and it blows my mind every single time.
Right?
Like it is so well done. Like the scene where they descend through the sewer, like through the manhole.
Yeah.
While they are coming up, so like there's at some point there's a flip in gravity, and the visuals handle it so well. It's so weird.
It's so neat how they manage it. You don't expect them to do it well, but they just do.
Yeah, if you haven't watched the movie, and even if you have no interest in watching the movie, you should just look up like the scene where they leave the catacombs, like when they leave out of the manhole, because it is so worth watching just for the visual effect of like and then when like the found footage style really makes it that much better when like they can move the camera, and you can even see like visually when the gravity kind of swaps for the camera as it's moving. Yeah, it's insanity, but it's really worth watching. It's a good movie. There's a lot that should have been done though. It's one of those movies that suffers from like the Snyder effect, which is to say that a lot of things got cut that the people who made the movie were like, yeah, it was way better before everything got cut.
And that's a shame.
It's one of those kind of movies.
It makes people be like, oh, I wish I could see the real cut of As Above, So Below. Oh, that would be great. But it's already an hour and a half long, and like, what are they gonna at that point? I think the movie is fine as it is. What are they gonna add that makes it so much better?
There's supposed to be more backstory for like, because a lot of the characters just kind of like die, and you're like, oh, that's weird. There wasn't like explanation as to what they were facing. Whereas like in the actual original, not necessarily cut, but the original script, there was more information about like they kind of set up a little bit that the main girl, who is, by the way, like I love her. She's amazing. She's basically Indiana Jones, but scarier. Not like she's scarier, but in a scarier setting. Like that's kind of what she reminded me of, because she's like, oh yeah, I'm fluent in like 4 languages. I have like 2 doctorate degrees. I'm an archaeologist, and she reminds me of like an Indiana Jones type character, but in a different setting.
Honestly, she's a really nice, strong character that holds her own very effectively too.
Yeah, she's so great, because she's like, I'm gonna solve this shit. I'm not here for the teamwork. Every once in a while, she'll be like, hey, boyfriend character, can you translate this? Because I speak 8 million languages, but not ancient Egyptian. He's like, oh, I speak ancient Egyptian. But also, they explained at the beginning of the movie, and that's like part of like the reason as to why they work well together, because they have different fields. But like when there's like the phone is ringing underground, and she picks it up. There is a little bit of explanation at the start of the movie, but the whole point was her dad called her, and she didn't pick up the phone on the night that her dad killed himself. And so she feels like she's super haunted by that, because she's like, what if I would have picked up the phone? Everything could be different. But she didn't. And so like, as she's like going through the underworld, basically, she does pick up the phone, and she apologizes to her this symbol of her father, basically, and embraces him. And as a result is able to escape, because she has embraced what has made her scarred. Yeah. And used it to further her agenda. It's nice. I think it's a good touch. But they didn't really expound upon it enough in the movie. And I really only know it because I've watched the movie 5 times pretty much. So I really only picked up on it after knowing what happens and watching the beginning of the movie again and being like, oh, that's what they meant when they said that one line of dialogue right there.
Yeah, I ended up missing a couple of details when I watched it, because I've only watched it once at this point. And I need to watch it again. But I was watching it at the laundromat, and I watched it over the course of 3 separate visits.
Incredible.
Because my computer wasn't handling my audio programs well, so I didn't bring my laptop to work. So I was just on my phone watching movies. It was a good enough time.
It's one worth watching. So I would recommend it. Audience, if you want to watch it, definitely do. hopefully, as I said earlier, we might want to put like a little. You should watch this movie before you listen to this part of the episode if you care. I think I did say something about that, but it's really good. I enjoy it. I could talk about it for a long time, and it's as is evident by the fact that we just did.
It's very worth watching if you have Netflix. I think it basically just lives on Netflix. So
yeah, it's been on there for years. It's got like a lot of cool, as I mentioned earlier, Inferno based lore, and there's also a lot of cool like Nicholas Flamel, like alchemy, Catacombs of Paris. So you got all the bones. It's a fun adventure. It's a fun journey. There's other characters we haven't really talked about that are pretty neat. I think one of my favorite other favorite scenes in the movie is when they find the piano in the catacombs.
Oh yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, I remember I used to have a piano just like this when I was a kid." And he starts like playing. He's like, "I only knew one song." It's like, "But I remember it was crazy because the last note on the A sharp was the key was dead. And then as he hits it, it's dead." And he's like, "Oh, what are the odds?"
Mm-hmm. Oh, it was really good. It was just really, really, really good.
When you realize they're like in like hell, basically. Fun stuff. You know what I don't want to necessarily talk about, but while I'm thinking about Dante's Inferno, how do you feel about fan fiction as a whole?
I go back and forth on fan fiction, but in general, I don't mind it. I got nothing against it, you know?
I'm pretty strongly against it.
Really?
I don't. Maybe I'm just biased, but like I don't have any positive experiences with fan fiction.
Mm-hmm.
Where like my experience is pretty much always that I'm like, well, I feel like it doesn't truly like add on to the story.
Yeah.
I like again, I might be reading it for the wrong reasons or looking at it for the wrong reasons, and that's probably why I don't read it or look at it.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I've never had like an experience where I'm like, this is sick. It just always feels kind of like but the only reason I bring it up is because there's always the discourse of people being like, you can't say fan fiction is bad because Dante's Inferno is just fan fiction. Like, yeah. One of those like changed the way the Italian language was written. One of them is you saying that Harry Potter gets inflated. I don't know if they're the same. And obviously that gives a bad rep to fan fiction because it's not all, Harry Potter inflation porn, but there is a lot of that.
A concerning amount.
Yeah.
So I guess my issue that I usually end up hitting with fan fiction is some of it is good enough that it will sit in a spot in my mind that's like, oh yeah, that happened, right? And I don't like getting confused, but...
Oh yeah, that is true. You don't want to start thinking things are canon that aren't.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, it's not actually important, right? But like, sometimes it is. So...
and also, I'm not really that into many things.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's not really any franchises that I'm like... that I'm like, oh, I need to like get more of this. I'm just like, I'm good. I consumed it. I'll call it a day.
Yeah.
I don't really like strongly affix myself to things for long. Not that it's a bad thing if you do. I'm unable to. So it's kind of like I don't really get it.
Mm-hmm. Nah, that's also fair. I don't know.
Why are you yelling, big cat? What? What's going on? You don't need to get pet right now. Yeah. I got to record a podcast. So.
Good cat.
Yeah, there's also a cat story, and not directly in your life, but like Nina and cat adventures, and now your family has another cat, right?
Yeah, the fifth cat, so they called him Mambo. Mambo number 5, as you do. Adorable cat, screams nonstop for attention. From what I understand, the basic gist of the cat is walk around, scream. If you pick him up, scream more. If you put him down, scream for more attention. And just let him sit on your chest and sleep.
Nice. That's
pretty much the whole thing. I actually have a couple of pictures of my mom with the cat sitting on her, looking exactly like one of those pictures of like, Dad didn't want to have a dog, but look at him now kind of things.
Mm-hmm. Call that Mambo.
No.
Mambo number 5. Big cat. What? You don't need to be so loud. You're not the kitten. You're old. You're old. I'm sorry. Yeah. So life's been pretty crazy, pretty exciting. Mm-hmm. No one's getting married in a week. Watched movies.
Yeah. This is a good
Saw
time.
3 and As Above, So Below. 2 classics of the genre, I'm sure.
Well, to a point at the very least. I like to think they are. Other people would be like, nah, not really.
I like found footage movies, though. I feel like that's a big no-go for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm. See, I don't know. I've been finding myself drifting back toward found footage recently. I mean, we talked about this a little bit at the bachelor party.
Yeah.
I'm more open to it in recent years than I have been in the past. So, I don't know. Have you ever seen, speaking of found footage, have you ever seen Hell House LLC?
That sounds really familiar. Is that the one where like they're making a haunted house or something?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, where they
are there sequels?
They go like year by year. They go and they build a haunted house somewhere else every single year.
Yeah, are there like, maybe I'm not thinking the right one. Are there sequels to this one?
Yeah, there. Another one just came out. Like 2 years ago. Yeah, Abaddon Hotel, and then Lake of Fire came out. Oh, geez, when did Lake of Fire come out? That has to have been recently. Yeah, 2019. Not taken very well from everything I understand. Nor was the last one wasn't too hot either. But the first one is pretty good. It got an 89 on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh.
Geez.
I think I remember this one. It's kind of like it's one of those where people on the tour die, right? There's like a something. They run a haunted house, but like the guests start getting like killed because the attractions are real. It's like a curse or something. Does that sound right?
No, kind of. What it ended up boiling down to was they were in a legitimately haunted location trying to build the haunt, and it all just kept like blowing back at them, and people were like their one guy disappeared and then came back and just wouldn't talk to anyone, and then the night that they finally get to open the attraction, then something awful ends up happening in the basement. And stuff like that.
That sounds kind of familiar, but I don't know. I think I may have seen that like probably 3-4 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it came out.
It came out in 2015. The name and the plot are all kind of making sense.
It's a really good movie, very worth watching in my opinion. If you like found footage movies at all. But yeah, it's really fun. It is. I think somebody asked me a little while ago what the last movie that like scared me was, and I think it's this. This movie was real uncomfortable.
Hell House LLC?
Uh-huh. Huh. Found footage is the style of movie that really gets to me, and that's why I don't watch them too often. But yeah, they can't have had a huge budget for this thing. Yeah. But it was really good.
Where's it available on? Do you know, like where it's streamable on?
I don't. Tubi. It's on Tubi right now for free.
Oh, yo!
Tubi's good. Honestly,
people don't give a. I think it's Tubi.
Tubi? Oh, is it Tubi?
I think it might be Tubi. But either way, it doesn't get enough credit. It's literally just free, and there's so many like kind of good and straight up like good movies and shows on it.
Oh, there's
also
of good
a lot
stuff.
of absolute trash.
Oh yeah,
but
I watched Suspiria on Tubi, and it was great. And it's just like every like 15 minutes you just got to watch like an ad, and I'm like, all right, I can live with that. It's a good system. As far as I can tell, it's totally legit.
Yeah, no, it is. I think Tubi is kind of hitting the current like what Hulu used to be.
Yeah, where it was like, Hulu's free and you just got to put up with ads. And now Hulu's like, yeah, you got to pay us $5 and you still got ads.
It's like $7 now.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, I remember for the longest time you were like grandfathered in if you were paying like the base fee. Like for Netflix, I used to pay like $7.99 for Netflix until like last year when they were finally like, now no one's grandfathered anymore. Everyone has to pay like $12. Yeah. But my friend Chad still pays $2 a month for RuneScape membership.
You're kidding me.
Because they had like a grandfathered in program. As long as you never cancel your membership, you can continue paying the same rate. So he still pays. I think it's like $2.99 a month.
Jeez.
Yeah.
I respect it. That's really
so at that
good.
point you might as well like never cancel it, even if you don't play that much. Because.
Yeah, because for the once or twice a month you play, you get to have your full like sub benefits for $2 a month.
Yeah.
Nice. That's a good deal.
That is a good deal. I'm sure he's probably like one of several people, because I'm sure a lot of people have either dropped the membership for like a month on accident, or like just straight up don't have their account anymore that used to play way back then.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, you don't really hear about much like grandfathering in of payment systems anymore. I mean, like rent in New York, and that's about it.
Yeah. I really like grandfathered payment systems, and I really wish people would do it a little more often.
I still I really that's one I can't wrap my brain around how like rent works in New York City. Where like people are paying like $200 a month for an apartment, because it was their grandmother's apartment and she started paying $200 a month years and years ago, and that's just like the rule.
Yeah.
I don't get how that works.
Yeah, I
like,
don't.
What are like the protections for that?
Yeah, there's stuff like that, and then I don't understand the concept of rent control because it's not what I thought it was. I looked it up, and I'll just Google it now. Let's see, rent control. Government program that limits the amount a landlord can demand. So it adds a top limit.
Yeah, so you can't make someone pay past a certain point. But that point is pretty high.
Oh yeah,
that's the thing. It does stop like supreme like gouging though. But I don't quite get a lot of the way that it works. Are there like city benefits for like, let's say I am like I own a building. I was gonna say, let's say I'm a landlord, but I don't even want to think about that.
You don't even want to think about that, no.
Yeah. But let's say you're like that you own a building in New York, and you have like 15 apartments in it for some reason, and of those 15 apartments, 10 of them are only like $200 a month because they've been in the family for generations. Is there like do they pay like property taxes, like the tenants, or does like the city reimburse you for like what would be like lost money?
I don't know.
Because at that point, you've got to be paying more than that in just property taxes. So you couldn't, like, you would be losing money just for owning a building, which doesn't make sense, but also kind of does. But, like, yeah, you'd be losing money just for having apartments. So then does the city, like, give you some sort of reimbursement or, like, some sort of waiver of certain taxes because you've got people living for an affordable rate?
I don't know.
Kind of hope so, to maybe incentivize the continuation of like those kind of practices, but
because like
I know nothing about how that works.
Yeah.
Do we have any listeners from New York? Do we have any New Yorkers?
I mean, Dan's almost a New Yorker.
Yeah, but not like.
But he's not like city.
Yeah, and that's kind of in the part where like you're not really getting grandfathered in because I'm pretty sure that's like a slightly newer, more recently urbanized, I guess.
Yeah, I wonder.
Yeah, me too. Maybe Dan will know.
Yeah.
Dan.
Hey, Dan.
Hey, Dan.
Dan, how does rent in New York work?
If I want to move to Brooklyn, how do I pay my rent in Brooklyn?
My grandma left me her apartment, and I want to know what to do.
That's the one thing that kind of like boggles my mind. Like getting left an apartment. Like I understand if you had the same apartment for like 80 years, paying the same rate, but like inheriting it is crazy to me. Also kind of cool, but kind of crazy. Because then in theory, you could just keep passing it down forever. I think that's the idea behind it anyway. All right, well, that's enough talking about things we don't understand.
Exactly. Yeah.
This is probably as good a spot as any to end.
Yeah, why not? We should probably end here.
Yeah, instead of trying to force some discussion that'll probably end up going for like 15 minutes and will be too long, might as well call it here.
Especially because the discussion is just going to be us circling around I don't really know. Yeah, I guess I don't really know. Well, I don't really know.
I don't know. Weird. Yeah, I had no idea.
Yeah. Bubbadabad, BUBBADABAD. You can find me Twitch, Twitter, Insta. I am not streaming tonight, tonight being Thursday night, and I don't think I'm going to stream the Tuesday after I get married either, but I plan on resuming my Tuesday, Thursday streamings after that. I'm going to keep my Saturdays gone because, well, lo and behold, as it turns out, when I'm not streaming right up until I have to fall asleep, I actually sleep through the night so I can get to work on time. So, is what it is.
C'est la vie. Yeah. You can find the podcast on Spotify now, so that's exciting.
Yeah,
I ought to get on that. I ought to get my phone out here and go to Spotify and follow the podcast, but I don't know where my phone is. So
fair enough. Yeah, the main issue you're gonna find is because because I'm not good at naming podcasts. You got things like Off the Air being a stupidly basic name that you just can't find. So what you'll want to do is you're gonna want to Google Off the Air, marriage, parties, and scary movies, and you'll find this episode, and you can follow from that.
You already named the episode?
Yeah. I try to remember to name it while we're recording, because otherwise I can't remember a good name by the time I've finished editing, because I'm so locked into whatever has happened, so I throw some ideas on a doc as we go, and I name it. So
personally, I would go with a play on words around as above, so below. Be like as bachelor, so married man.
That's probably a good one, too.
I don't know if it's that good, but that was just, you got time.
Exactly. We'll figure something out.
Yeah. So look up whatever the name of the podcast episode is.
Cider, Beer, and the Amish was last week's episode. You can search that episode because that name's not
changing. You can't just make it 3 words.
Who has the best food was the one before. Wish sells drugs, probably.
Well, you can't make it just 3 words 2 in a row.
No, you're right.
We'll figure it out, guys.
Yeah, we'll figure something out. Bye.
Well, I mean, Noah will. I will likely not.